Hello everyone, welcome back to Tidgney's GT Sport Driving School. It's episode number 14 and it's all about driving close to competitors. Now, this episode's kind of an interesting one because we all do it, we all drive close to competitors, but it's about not hitting the competitor and still racing clean and being able to make the move when opportunity comes. So how do I, because you will have seen in many races, drive so close to competitors and not hit them? Don't get me wrong, sometimes I do hit them. And is there a way to improve this? Well, there is a way to improve it, but we're also going to look at what actually happens when you're behind somebody, because different cameras can affect you. We've also got the air resistance, dirty air, braking distances, slipstream. That all has implications, and then we're going to look at how you can improve this, because there are ways to improve it. Because when there's a car right in front of you, your vision is literally impaired. You've got a massive car in front of you, your references potentially disappear or move slightly, so you really have to judge accordingly, and that is what we're going to look at. So first thing first, let's have a look at me driving behind some competitors, and I'll talk about some of the different aspects that you should really think about when driving behind somebody without actually hitting them off, because obviously that's dirty driving. So yeah, let's jump to that now. So first of all, let's talk about Slipstream, which is very impactful on Gran Turismo. As you know, 1.5 seconds, if you're in that gap, the car in front is cutting a hole in the air and you're going through it, which means less air resistance, which means you're going to be going slightly quicker than you were previously. So you're probably going, Tidge, where's your Slipstream? I know, I've not got Slipstream on at the moment. Two cars behind me do have it if you look at that left-hand side. So these cars are going to come at me at a very quick pace or not. As you can see, Marvel's going to instantly go towards the inside. And I'm going to have Samuel behind. Now, the first critical thing here is you're going to see Samuel slightly tap me there. And that's just a tiny misjudgment of braking. And that's what I want to focus on here with Slipstream and following someone close behind. Is that if you are in that Slipstream, you're going to have to adjust your brake marker. Irrespective of tyres, etc., you're going to have to adjust it because you are at a higher speed than you normally would be approaching the corner. So if you brake at 100 meters, you may then have to brake at 110 meters. If you brake at 100 right behind somebody, you're going to hit them. Now this does get harder the lower down the driver ratings you go, because people then brake at different points and it gets a bit more iffy. Of course, as you get towards the top split, we're approaching limits and everyone gets close to that limit. It's much easier to judge. But as I say, the first thing you need to look at is Slipstream. Now I'm going to have a bit of Slipstream here from Marvel as we approach the hairpin, and I'm going to have to brake a little bit earlier than normal. Now you haven't seen what I broke at in the previous lap, but you can see I have got that pull happening here. So I brake a little bit earlier here, and Marvel goes a little bit late as well. I have to wait for Marvel, and then we go out the corner. Slipstream having a big impact there, approaching that corner, and I brake accordingly slightly bit earlier. Now let's jump to another clip where I can show you from my perspective having Slipstream as I approach another car. So here we are in a Jaguar F-Type. We're just approaching Kryptonite here at Lacombe. And we're going to approach basically a corner which has only a tiny straight. However, I want you to focus on the braking. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of braking that tiny bit earlier to avoid crashing into a car in front. So I'm just going to slow it down here. Now watch when I brake here, because I brake earlier. I would normally brake at the start of the curb. I'm going to brake here. Look at that. I'm much further before the curb, and look when Kryptonite's about to brake here. You can see this. It's a few milliseconds later, you can see Kryptonite then brakes. I'm already over half braking. So at this point, I am not going to hit Kryptonite. I really am not going to hit him. I get a little bit closer to him, and that is it. Because I was carrying a little bit more speed through the corner, and a little bit of Slipstream in there. Brake a tiny bit earlier. I avoid hitting Kryptonite, and we can carry on racing for this fourth position. So that's sort of what I wanted you to think about. First of all, is Slipstream, and different speeds of the cars. You know, braking earlier isn't necessarily a bad thing when you're chasing somebody. It means that you potentially can get a little bit closer in order to then do the overtake. Now, you will have seen that I was braking at half brake and it wasn't full on braking. So I'm going to talk about braking now in the next couple of clips. So we're back at Tokyo, back in that same race we were looking at earlier, and in front of us we've got a Honda NSX, which is on racing hard tyres and hasn't actually stopped yet. So obviously we're going to have the superior grip. So we in theory should be able to brake a lot later than them. However, this isn't really an overtaking spot, this chicane, so I'm not going to go for the overtake here. As you can see, we're going around the same speed, and I'm just going to demonstrate the braking again in the fact that I brake really early, but only very lightly, in order to avoid hitting the car in front, and I will do that continuously for quite a while. So I'm going to hit the brakes here. You can see that now. I've just hit the brakes. Honda in front hasn't hit the brakes. Should be able to brake later than the Honda, to be honest with you, in the Audi TT anyway, irrespective of the tyre grip. However, watch now. Watch that brake. It stays around half, drops to a quarter, and then it goes full. And then we're going to come off them again once we've bled enough of the speed off. We do lose a little bit too much speed potentially there, but you can see how I was on the brakes for 50%, then it dropped to 25%, just to avoid hitting the car in front. I brake for longer, but just a little bit softer. Perfect for racing there. I don't hit the car in front, and I can continue on racing, and you're about to see me overtake the NSX as well. I'm going to show you one more clip of this happening, and that should hopefully give you a general idea of how Slipstream affects you and you need to adjust your braking, as well as just braking softer actually helps as well. So here we are behind CSX_Will as we head towards this section of corners. Now Will is on old tyres, I'm on brand new ones, so a similar situation as last time, but we're in group 3 this time. You can see I'm going to get very close here, just tapping the brakes, trying to maintain that speed, and Will's going to get a quite good exit here. So obviously we're going to focus on the braking. That's the key part of this now. Braking a little bit further away from your normal brake marker, and then just really pressing that brake at around 50%, light brake pressure, and then going to 100 when you feel it necessary that you're not going to hit the car in front. So we're just approaching up here. Obviously we're behind Will. We're going to have a little bit of dirty air here as well, you can see as we're going through here. And this is the critical part here. I could go for a move, but I want to wait till the straight. But watch this now. Notice that slight braking out. It's 25%, then it went to 100, and then 25%. What I'll do is I'll just rewind, and then we'll look at that again. Back we go, and back to 25% speed here. So just watch this now. We can see we're approaching Will very closely. Now I normally brake once I hit the tarmac here. In any car really, that's usually where my brake marker is. But look how early I go on the brakes here. I'm just going to stop it right here. Look, I'm on the brakes well before the tarmac on that right hand side. And that shows you I'm braking early, but I'm only going to brake softly. Watch how softly I actually brake. Once it gets loaded in, give me a second, there we go. Look at that, it's 50% for quite a while. I go to 100, then back down to 25%. Will started braking it. Will actually outbroke himself. Because that was so close, potentially Will thought he may get hit and had to be the last of the late breakers. But it's actually going to force Will to run a little bit wide here. So it's become an overtaking move, but not meant to be, because I could get close just with that softer braking that much earlier, and I don't lose out here. As you see, I'm going to go side by side with Will. So when you think about being behind somebody, driving close to competitors, think about your braking. Braking slightly earlier but softer is perfectly reasonable and perfectly fine. What we're going to do now is look at how to train yourself with cars being in the picture, because they can be very, very distracting, and you can train this. You can absolutely train this. So here we are at Bathurst in a time trial. And you're probably going, Tidge, how can a time trial help me with racing? Well, in time trial, we have ghosts. Now, ghosts, if you race with ghosts in time trial, you probably go, oh, Tidge, they're awful, turn them off. I've had people message me that all the time about the ghosts. Turn it off, Tidge, it's very distracting. The thing is, if it's very distracting, aren't you then going to get distracted by cars in the race? Because a ghost is essentially a car on circuit, and you're following it. Now, yes, you can go inside it, and there's no crash if you hit the ghost or anything like that. But it's still a training tool, and this is where I think people are misled by the ghost a little bit, because the ghost can be very handy to do time trial and fast laps, but it can be very handy to learn how to race with a distraction in front of you and still hit all your brake markers. So you saw that I was going into the right hander after the long straight there. The ghost was right in front of me. But I still had to nail my brake marker, and I did nail my brake marker. Now I'm going to lose the ghost a little bit during this lap, but that's just because I'm learning the track. I'm trying to build up. You can see I'm already up on my time. I'm ahead of any previous lap that's gone on. But I use the ghost all the time, and that means I don't get distracted when I'm actually racing a real car and it's right in front of me. I can actually control my throttle and braking based on that. Now, I know it sounds a bit stupid and a bit crazy and a bit weird, but it's the truth. If you get distracted by the ghost car, you're going to get distracted by a real car. If you get distracted by a real car, you're going to cause a crash. An instant. You're not going to be able to drive close behind somebody. So why not do it in a very, very easy environment of a time trial? Put a ghost car on. Put your own ghost car on. And just race it. You don't have to race the leader, the top 10. Not everybody's as fast as that. You can offset the ghost as well, so the ghost could start 2 seconds behind you, and it could catch up to you during the lap. That could help you with pressure, potentially. And then during the lap, it'll go in front of you. That's a distraction, and then you can learn the second half of the lap with a ghost car in front of you. It is a tool, and it's one I would say use to learn brake markers with a distraction in front of you. Because trust me, it is worthwhile. Now, we're going to cross the line here, get a 208.8. That means the ghost car, my ghost car, is going to be faster now. We're also racing the rank 1 ghost car here. You'll just see the Mustang go in front. So now we're going to have 2 ghost cars. We now have double the distraction. We have 2 ghost cars on track at the same time. And again, it doesn't bother me. I can race both these absolutely fine and not have any issues at all. Now, I'm a little bit further behind here because I messed up turn 1. It is what it is. And I'm going to look to try and catch up, of course, because, again, you know, I want to catch up. I want to try and beat my best time. But here, it's not going to happen on this lap. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly fast forward this as humanly possible. I'm actually going to jump to the next lap where I am really close to both ghosts. And you can see the ghost is pulling away here. And as I say, this is a tool I use. You know, I always use ghosts. You've seen this in any live stream I've done where I'm doing time trial. I lob a ghost on. I don't care. I want a ghost on. I want to see whether I'm doing good or bad. It also helps me with the fact that I can pick out brake markers even though there's a car slap bang in front of me. And this helps with any camera because obviously if you've got the ghost on in front of you and you're on bumper cam, you can then pick out brake markers that you can see at the side even with a car in front of you. It is really, really helpful. So you can see the Mustang has gone ahead again. You're going to get the TT appear any second now. You see that gap going up there as we mess up turn 1 again. Fast in, slow out. Not the best way to do that corner. And you can see it's flashing as well a little bit there. So that's even more distracting. But coming up to this corner, obviously we're going to brake at a certain point. Are we going to miss our brake marker? We can't really see it because of the ghost. We don't miss it that. Look, we nail it. Because we're used to the ghost being in front of us. So now we head up the hill. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit easier to pick out brake markers here because we're going uphill. There's barriers and stuff, and there's a lot more of a harder colour there to see. And again, look at that. We're right inside one ghost. It's flickering on and off all the time. Very distracting. But notice my line isn't changing. I'm actually very close to my ghost and taking very similar lines. It's a tool you should use. That's going to be it in terms of racing close to competitors. We've talked about all sorts, how you can handle it with braking, accelerating, and all sorts like that, and how you can train for it. Just following the ghost like this. I mean, look how close the ghost is in front of us. We can't see the apex at this point, but look, we're still nailing it here, through here. It's all very good. Now, we are going to crash in a minute because we just go a bit too deep into Forest Elbow, but I'm going to end the driving school here. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been another good one to make, another interesting one, but I will see you very soon for another episode where we look at driver and race analysis.